because she has closely studied the former president's past 6 debate performances. She's also been sort of entrenched in these briefing papers going over the former president's past comments, as well as the ways that he has insulted her, so she can be prepared to respond to that. She's engaged in these mock debates with a stand-in for the former president, and she's had conversations with Hillary Clinton and President Biden, who both extensively have knowledge of debating the former president.
Sure, Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden both have history debating former President Donald Trump, but Hillary Clinton is a 2-time presidential loser, so I don't really think she's the best person to be getting advice from. And Joe Biden, well, obviously the June debate was awful for him. So again, I don't necessarily think that he's the best person for Kamala Harris to be getting debate advice from. Just really odd. Now, what's interesting there, if you caught that, she's not focused on the policy, she's not focused on her agenda, she's not focused on her record. Instead, what she's appearing to focus on are these personal attacks supposedly coming from Donald Trump. So that's one thing to keep an eye out for during tonight's debate, is to see, how Trump presents his ideas, how Trump presents his vision for the future, and whether or not Kamala Harris is able to articulate a vision for the future, or whether she's going to be focused on trying to attack Donald Trump on a personal level, which, of course, is ironic given that Democrats are running on being the bigger people in the room and running on being the unity ticket, right? Now, it wasn't just that segment on CNN. Jake Tapper was on air yesterday explaining how Kamala's campaign is already lowering expectations for her debate performance tonight. Take a look at this.
This is going to be her night, and she has a lot more of a steep hill to climb than Donald Trump does.
And Mark, the Harris campaign reluctantly agreed to the previously arranged debate rules of the microphones being muted when it's not your turn to speak. A new Trump War Room post claims that handlers for Kamala Harris, quote, have been downplaying expectations amid reports she's terrified after her last-minute attempts to change the rules failed. But it does seem kind of unwise to me. Like, why are they setting expectations for her low? Shouldn't they be building her up?
The problem is that she doesn't have the policy chops to, A, defend and pivot away from her record with Joe Biden and explain to people why, even though she broke it, she's the one that should fix it.
And don't forget, the reason they're so upset about the microphones is because Kamala Harris wants that viral I'm talking moment. I'm talking. She wants to shut Trump down. I hope she attempts that, and I hope that Trump has a comeback either prepared or is quick on his feet to say, Kamala, you've had the last 4 years to talk. Now it's my turn. Don't forget, Trump has literally fought gag orders. They're trying to silence him. The lawfare, the gag orders, the assassination attempt. And so, he's come through all of this, fought his way through all of this. He's not going to be silenced on the stage tonight. So if she tries that, I think that's going to be something to watch for. Another thing to watch for that Kamala's campaign is apparently really upset about is that she's not going to be allowed to step on a box, to stand on a box. So in the 2019 primary debates, Michael Bloomberg apparently stood on an Apple box because he's shorter than everyone else and he was afraid of being ridiculed for his height. So, he stood on a box behind the podium, made him appear taller. Well, there is a huge height difference between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, and she wanted to be able to stand on a box, and that was denied. So she's not going to be able to do that. Again, I think it's really interesting that even CNN is pointing to the rumors coming from Harris's camp that they're downplaying debate expectations. And really, all of this started coming out after the microphone rule was confirmed. So it's clear that Kamala's campaign was really placing their bets on her having a viral moment, being able to interrupt Donald Trump. Now, that's not all. It's not just CNN. Rachel Maddow of MSNBC, she went on The View, and, Rachel Maddow was so sure that Joe Biden wasn't going to drop out. She obviously was wrong. And she's even saying, in her own words, she is saying that she is worried about tonight's debate. Now, the Democrats and the media, they're trying to tell us, well, Kamala's so much younger, Donald Trump's old, he's now the oldest candidate in the race, and he's essentially taken the place of Joe Biden, and it's his mental acuity that's going to be under the microscope. Well, if this really is, old, senile Donald Trump against young, vibrant, intelligent Kamala Harris, then why is Rachel Maddow worried? What does she know that the rest of us don't know? Take a look at this.
Were you surprised, were you shocked by the news when Biden did step out? And do you believe Kamala Harris was the best choice to replace him?
So, A, humble pie. B, I feel like the universe feeds us things like this back just to keep us, keep our egos in check a little bit. Yeah. This is a good reminder. Don't believe anything anybody says, right? Like you're saying. I was as surprised as anybody when President Biden dropped out, but it shows you the power of a debate. Yeah. I mean, we've never had a debate as consequential in American history as that last debate. In 5 minutes in that debate, his presidency became a one-term presidency. The Democrats changed their candidate. It was a month before the conventions, and it's an all-new general election. I mean, which makes me feel humble and worried about what's going to happen tonight.
Yes.
I mean, anything could happen. I'm braced for anything from zero
This
to
debate is clearly much more dangerous for Kamala Harris than it is for Donald Trump. If you think about it in terms of how the public knows these candidates, everyone not only knows Donald Trump's name, they know his policies, and on top of that, we've all lived through a Trump presidency. We all know what it was like 2016 through 2020. We remember the prosperity, we remember the peace, we remember low crime rates, and then you compare that to the Biden-Harris administration. We've all, seen the decline from 2021 to today. It's been a complete disaster, quite frankly, and that's why so many people want change. If you look at the polling, it's about 55% of the population, of the voting population, wants change, and then if you poll those people, 55% of those people think that Donald Trump is the agent of change, not Kamala Harris. Now, I know we've been talking a lot about polls, and my last few videos have been very poll focused, so I wanted to do something a little more lighthearted. Well, there is this bakery right outside of Philadelphia, and they are selling cookies. If you buy a red cookie, that's a vote for Trump, and if you buy a blue cookie, that's a vote for Kamala Harris. This was featured on CBS, and take a look at these results.
You've sold thousands already, and I know you've baked thousands in preparation for tonight. Yes. Everyone wants to know, what do the sales maybe tell us about who might win the election in November?
Well,
talk to me about sales.
The sales, the red is leading by a lot.
By a lot.
By a lot.
You got the tally board over here.
The tally was just updated. You're new to see it, but almost by 4,000 cookies, as you can see, and that's tremendous. Tremendous for us as a small business to produce this and sell this as well, and see the faces that are coming around to buy these from all over.
Absolutely, and just to stress this, that is not a typo. Former President Trump with more than 4,000 cookies sold. Current Vice President Kamala Harris with only about 400. So the Harris voters got some work to do if they want to boost their numbers here. But again, we want to stress, we've been saying this all morning, you guys are not politically driven. I know you take a lot of flack online especially. Talk to me about your motivation here. You're just trying to do business.
I'm a small business, and prices are really high right now. Like we're seeing increases daily on eggs and butter, and so these help get people.
So this bakery is in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, and I was interested. I pulled up the 2020 election results there. Montgomery County, as you can see, Joe Biden won 319,000 compared to 185,000 for Trump. So quite a huge reversal for Trump to be, leading, 9 for every 9 outselling Kamala Harris 9 cookies to 1. I mean, huge difference in those margins there. Now, of course, this could depend on the town, but I thought that comparison was interesting. Another thing to watch out for tonight's ABC debate. So we're going to be looking out for, how Kamala Harris tries to attack Trump personally, maybe the height difference, whether or not she's able to articulate her policies. Another thing to watch out for is how the moderators behave. So this is from MRC Media Research Center. They found that 100% of the news coverage from ABC regarding Harris's campaign has been positive. So every time they've talked about Harris's campaign, it's been positive. They haven't had a single negative story, and they haven't spun any single thing negative. Now, if you can fact check me on this, if you can fact check MRC on this, feel free to do so. But, you know, MRC, they've been in the business for decades now, and they're very trusted for this reason. Compare that to 93% of the ABC stories against Trump are negative. So it'll be interesting. I was very surprised, right? I will give kudos where kudos is due. CNN, I thought, you know, they handled the debate between Joe Biden and President Trump a lot more fairly and a lot more balanced than I thought they would. You know, I was really pleasantly surprised. I have a hard time believing that that's going to happen tonight, just not only based on those numbers, but considering who the hosts are. I think David Muir will be fine, but Lindsay Davis, I don't trust her so much. Now, about three more stories here. Number one, so yesterday I talked about a new New York Times poll that shows Trump in the lead, you know, leading Harris 1% in the national popular vote average, which is obviously great news for Trump. Well, there is a brand new poll out today from PBS Marist, another highly respected poll, and they show Harris-Walz leading Trump Vance by 1 percentage point, 49 to 48%. But this is actually great news for Trump because let's take a look at these crosstabs. When they interviewed, you can see here, I highlighted this. Their sample size was 38% Democrat, 35% Republican. So a 3-point Democrat advantage. The rest were independents. Well, Gallup just did another poll, and take a look at this. Their Gallup's poll, released in August, released last month, 30% of the population identifies as Republican, 39% as independent, 31% as Democrat. So there should only be a 1% difference between Democrats and Republicans. Well, again, let's take a look at that Marist poll. 38 to 35. So they oversampled Democrats and Republicans in this poll. And on top of that, they oversampled Democrats by 3 more percentage points than they oversampled Republicans. So they oversampled both parties, and they gave the Democrats a 3-point advantage. So going back to the original poll of Harris-Walz having a 1-point lead, might not turn out that way on Election Day. Of course, none of this matters. We all have to get out to the polls and vote. Now, there is footage coming out this morning of Kamala Harris's motorcade leaving her hotel room as she's headed either to final debate prep or the debate venue. I'm unsure. I'm based on the filming of this video, about 5.5 hours out from showtime. So, maybe she's going to the debate venue early. I don't know. But this is Kamala Harris's motorcade leaving, and she was swamped by Trump supporters trolling her. Take a look at this. This is not new. Pretty much everywhere Kamala goes, she's greeted by more Trump supporters than she is her own supporters. Like when she went to Michigan to hold her rallies, Trump supporters were lining the streets. The same thing happened in North Carolina. The same thing happened in Pennsylvania. And that obviously was in Pennsylvania. So obviously, this isn't anything new. Now, the last story I want to talk about is Melania Trump recently, this morning, released a brand new video, and she is very private. She really doesn't talk a lot publicly, especially about her personal life or her relationship with Donald. Now, her video this morning, she talked about the assassination attempt on Trump's life, and you can tell she is deeply impacted by this, but she hinted that there's actually more to the story that the public doesn't know. And given how private she is, and given, how much she usually shies away from the public spotlight, I think that this is really interesting. What do they know behind the scenes that the rest of us don't know?
The attempt to end my husband's life was a horrible, distressing experience. Now, the silence around it feels heavy. I can't help but wonder, why didn't law enforcement officials arrest the shooter before the speech? There is definitely more to this story, and we need to uncover the truth.
So notice how she talks about the silence, right? And that's 100% true, because the media and the Democrats and our leaders in DC have all just swept it under the rug. It's water under the bridge. Compare that to January 6th, right? They keep talking about January 6th, even though not a single Trump supporter fired a deadly weapon. You know, they were the ones fired upon. They didn't kill anyone. They were the ones who were being killed. And yet, the Democrats have been obsessed with January 6th for the last 3 or 4 years. Well, someone tried to assassinate not only a former president, but, you know, one of the 2 major candidates for president, and all of a sudden no one cares about it. It hasn't even been 2 months. And so I think she raises a great point, not only about the silence, but about the discrepancies, about why he wasn't taken down beforehand, why Secret Service detail, additional protection wasn't given to Trump when they had requested for more, why apparently now we know that some of those security agents weren't even Secret Service, but rather CIA agents who received their only training for protecting Trump was apparently a 2-hour online video. Not a good look. So very interesting coming from Melania. It really, I think, to me, hints and suggests that maybe there's going to be more breaking bombshell news in regards to the assassination attempt even before the election. As always, all of this is my analysis and my commentary, and I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think is going to happen at tonight's debate? Are we in for a big nothing burger? Are we in for a snooze fest? Are you predicting Kamala Harris is going to totally bomb and crash and go off the rails like Joe Biden? Do you think it's going to be a knockout, one side or the other? What are you expecting, and what are you looking forward to seeing? Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask, but it really does help me in the algorithm to reach more viewers like you. If you haven't already, please be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.